quick video replying to a PM. The PM's entitled, please read this, it's important to me. The pertinent part of the PM is, I've asked myself about this many times with one thought. I've thought, why would anyone make up a religion and make people believe in it? I simply don't know why, and more thoughts keep coming on my mind. I asked that question. I asked who would do such a thing, who would come up with all this stuff. How could it possibly start? Islam comes from Christianity. Christianity came from Judaism. Religions evolve from one form into another. The key thing to think about is, where could it possibly have started? As you ask, who would make up a religion and make people believe in it? I think that's the wrong way to look at it. The older people will understand a lot more of what I'm about to say than the younger ones, although some of the younger ones will have been in this terrible position. But when you're older, life has a way of putting you in front of somebody who's either terrified or in great pain as the result of somebody else's death. And when that happens, it is almost impossible, because we care about each other, to say, your child's dead, that's it. You're going to die, that's it. Actually to say it to another human being's face when they're either absolutely terrified or the tears are running down their face and you feel they might even die of a broken heart. I could never and would never and wouldn't even consider saying to someone in either of those situations what I actually think is the truth of the situation. I would lie. If we imagine going back in time to when mankind was following the cattle around because we didn't know how to domesticate them, we didn't know how to grow our own food. If you imagine that back in those days, a small troop of human beings, maybe, I don't know, 20, 30, you would know everyone in that group as if they were your family. They may have shown you kindness in 1,000 ways, and you've shown them kindness in 1,000 ways, and this is how we bond. We don't have to be blood brothers and blood sisters to actually be, to feel as if someone's our brother and our sister. Time and experience will do it. Imagine two people who've got a child, and that child pricks their finger on the thorn of a plant and they get blood poisoning and they die within a couple of weeks, from being a happy bouncy child to dying. And everyone can hear those parents crying. To imagine somebody in front of you in that state, with that need, when they ask you why, you're going to want to take away their pain. It is a kind thing to do. The actual place that the seed of religion comes from, or at least one of the places, is actually a very, very beautiful, compassionate, caring and very, very human place. If I were in that tribe and those parents were crying in front of me asking me why, I'd lie. I'd make something up. I would push my imagination to the limit to give them some hope which I didn't necessarily have myself. I might well say, I think the child has gone on to a better place. I think there's a reason for all this. I don't understand it, it's beyond me, it's beyond all of us, but I think there's a reason. And I think your child is still alive somewhere without their body, and they're happy, and they're being cared for, and they're not afraid. I would have just made up a religion. And it's not that I made anyone believe it, it's that they wanted to believe it, and they needed to believe it. Now what's going to happen the next day? They're going to take a little comfort, they're going to feel a little better when you say what you say, but they're going to sleep on it, and they're going to wake up the next day and they're not going to feel that same optimism again. So they're going to go back to the person who gave them the optimism and ask them a question again, but this time say, why do you believe that? Why do you think my child might be somewhere right now? What makes you think that? They're not challenging they want you to convince them. They want to know that you've got reasons that you believe that. Now in those times people might have said, alright, the spirits spoke to me in my dream and they told me about your child and they said they were happy. I saw them in my dream, they were happy. There were other children there, they had lots of friends, and you will ease the pain of the person who's talking to you a little. Now the next time someone dies in the village, they're going to come to you, and they're going to want to hear the same stories. Maybe you'll have thought that, maybe you'll have anticipated that they're going to do it, and you've got a bit more to say next time. So you've made the religion bigger already. It's now 3 or 4 sentences long. Somebody may have had a lucky escape from a fall, and they were wearing red that day. Red is the colour that the gods like. We must all wear red. People lived like this for tens of thousands of years, and if each generation of witch doctors or shaman or spiritualists, whatever you want to call them, if each generation only added 1 sentence to the beliefs, you can see how intricate and convoluted and sophisticated the stories are going to get. They're going to evolve. It has a momentum. It has to grow in a way. It must grow, because people will start asking you all sorts of other questions. What do the spirits say about the rainbows? What are they? What's the lightning? If you don't have an answer, they might think that the spirits have stopped talking to you. Maybe the spirits don't like you anymore. Maybe it's dangerous to have someone in the tribe who the gods don't like. Maybe they'd shun you and kick you out of the tribe, which in that day and age was effectively killing you. And the person who's telling these lies is going to know it. They're going to try, their life, once they've started this ball rolling, their life is going to depend on anticipating what the questions are and having answers for all of them. You see, if you imagine yourself as the person who's telling these stories, call yourself a witch doctor or the tribal elder or the wise man of the village, you're the anointed one. What if somebody in that village says, I think that's a crock of shit. I don't believe that at all. You're telling a pack of lies. The person telling the pack of lies is probably going to have a dream that very night from the spirits, which tells them that anyone who disagrees with them may not get the reward. That's going to frighten some off. But maybe there'll still be some who say, I still think it's a crock of shit. Then the person's going to have a talk to the spirits in the dream world and get everyone together and say, people are going to be punished if they don't worship this god. And if you've got that power, you're going to preserve it, you're going to protect it. Sooner or later someone's going to challenge it, and you will use the same trick that you used to comfort the people for the right reason to shut somebody else up for the wrong reason. It happens in increments. Nobody made up a religion and made people believe in it. Religions evolve from tales that we tell each other to comfort ourselves. And a quick word for the religious. Being an atheist on YouTube is rather like trying to stop an oncoming rhino with a shotgun to protect the people around you, knowing full well that you're going to hit some innocent people who are in your line of fire. It's unavoidable. No atheist I have ever seen on YouTube or in real life ever said to somebody in the midst of grief to just grow up and get over it. It doesn't happen. I think if we could prevent people who are suffering in that pain from hearing one goddamn word from us, I think we would. There would be wars in an atheistic or an agnostic or a skeptic humanist world. There would still be wars, I know that. But they could be resolved. Only 60 years ago, my country and Germany, as you may have heard, were in the midst of a terrible, terrible war. But now, with only 60 intervening years, I consider the Germans my friends now. I sense no animosity from the Germans towards me. The enmity is gone in just 60 years. But look at the Middle East. When it's written in a holy book that you must hate this person, it goes on forever. It's mandated by God. It's against God's wishes to end the war. Anyone who suggests genuine peace between people who are fighting a religious war is disobeying a God, and people will not do that. How do we stop it? We have to stop people believing in that God. Not God as such, but that God. Why can't you believe in God without the books? If it's so obvious from nature, why do you need the books? None of your religions can be perceived through nature. So just go with what you can perceive which you believe that God made, namely nature. Go with that. Why do we have to tell children that there's a possibility they might burn in hell to comfort them? How is that comforting? Why should a dying child have to spend 1 fucking second worrying about such a ridiculous, pathetic, childish idea? If I concede that it started from a good place, why am I so sure that it's gone to a bad place? Because none of those children in those first villages, when people were being comforted, were being told that they might be judged as naughty and burned forever. What child hasn't been naughty? What child hasn't lied or stolen a trinket or something, or disobeyed their parent? What child has not done that? Any child who takes the threat of hell seriously, perhaps even on their deathbed, is going to worry, and that is not kind. It's actually fucking cruel.